Genesis. Not to the biblical Genesis, of course, but the Halo 5 Genesis, the level Genesis. And yeah, I edited this one down, trying to keep it under an hour because it can be sort of maddening to sit here and watch myself die and get stuck at places for an hour and a half narrating everything. Like, this part probably took me like 5 minutes to get through. They kept on like dying and falling off the sides and stuff. So I just edited this bridge part down to a perfect pass. Here we go. And you know, this is kind of cool. You know, the jumping and the flying around. How do I survive this? Unbelievable. I would have thought I would have been dead already right there. Oh, I guess I didn't edit out everything perfectly. Oh, wait a second, and then I get right back up somehow magically? Oh no. That was weird. Doo-da, doo-da, doo-da.
If we keep moving, we're harder to hit.
Yeah, takes me a while to get into the mood to do these. I just, I want to get this over with. I've been working on it for over a year now. And it's not like I did a very good job or have gotten that much of a reward out of doing it yet. Just goes unnoticed and takes a long time and then wasn't very entertaining. Not that I'm trying to be super negative.
What's that sound?
Yeah, and yeah, COVID, the coronavirus has been happening, you know, and we just had wildfires and there was smoke all over the area. The sky turned red. Yeah. Oh, and then I got my wallet stolen, and they took my credit card and bought some stuff, and I still need to go to the DMV and schedule an appointment. I need to schedule an appointment online and then go to the DMV and get my license taken care of. It just hasn't been a good time to do that yet. And yeah, it's something going through all this stuff. You gotta have your like health insurance card and get your ID back, and you need that ID for driving and buying anything alcoholic or anything that you smoke. And yeah, you need an ID for that, and I was like, that's what that thing's for. And you need to know your ID number and your social security number, and yeah, it makes you think about what exactly being a citizen of your area is, you know? Oh yeah, tank part, here we go.
Move out, ready to move.
And so yeah, the first part of the level is going to be pretty easy with this tank, and I think the tank part goes all the way up until you fight like 2 wardens and a bunch of knights, and you know, then you'll die over and over again, and that's the level basically. Yeah, well, here we go.
Somebody ought to tell these guys they already lost the war.
Guardian!
Why has she called so many? A single Guardian can effectively police a solar
system. Another tank level.
I'm sorry, police?
And you know, the game's not that long unless you play it on a difficult setting, where then it is long, but it's not that great to watch exactly, because everything just has so much health.
As you see, Genesis's defenses are targeting the invaders. Unfortunately, the defenses will consider you invaders as well.
I also got the last Geometry Wars, Geometry Wars Cubed, or Geometry Wars 3, or to the
I
power
still
of
have
3.
control of some aspects of this facility.
And yeah, I haven't beaten all the levels on it. It's got over 100 levels, which is a little much. And then I checked out the high scores online, and because it takes so long to get to certain levels, even if you can beat it, it's challenging enough. And then you gotta move on to the next level that none of these high scores really get any attention, for Geometry Wars.
Warden is going to notice this
Yeah,
commotion.
yeah,
Be quick.
I used to be kind of cool and fun like 10 years ago. Geometry Wars 2, that lasted a bit. It was all fun and sparkly. And then it was fun for the first day, getting as far as you could in Geometry Wars 3. I don't think I ever played 2 as long as in one sitting as that, but and it's just like, I'm totally not gonna get a lot better at this, and then there's no reward for it.
Take care of that phaeton. Treads are taking
Yep.
fire.
And I've been, thinking about a bunch of political stuff involving the geographic boundaries of the United States. But I mean, that was after just, trying to imagine the future world and what it's gonna be like with the new robotic technology that's being developed. Seems kind of weird and off topic to be talking about that right now, but it's not like there's a lot to comment on with this gameplay footage. Just like, hints for doing this, your tank only has so much health, so you have to, hide behind things and use that shot cooldown to sort of stay alive, and then creep through the level, and then basically, from all the points you get in the tank, killing all this stuff, you're probably gonna get 1,000,000 points if you have it on legendary and a few skulls turned on. Actually get a skull later that I didn't already have. I'm not too sure which one it is, and I don't know if I use it. Maybe it's Black Eye or something, I don't know.
I must admit, I do find this rather
I guess,
exhilarating.
the first thing I wanted to talk about was the robots. Just developing technology there, because, it feels so weird going off topic like that, just making conversation about something that has nothing really to do with Halo.
Keep those targets coming.
I've been telling everyone about the robots for a year. Robots. Bringing up that and cloning, which I also want to talk about. So, yeah, robots. I guess the first robot is going to be the self-driving car. Right now, the self-driving cars, they just drive on the highway, I think. And, you sort of take the hands off the wheel, and that's kind of scary, because you would think, getting in a crash on the highway is probably going to be, possibly more dangerous than getting in a crash going through town where you're only going 20 or 30 miles an hour or stuff, but at least you're not hitting a biker, someone riding a bicycle, or a jaywalker, someone jogging or something when you're on the highway, or running over someone's cat. But, that technology is going to keep on developing. And then, when I started thinking about that, I started to think about how many jobs just seem to be driving. Those semi trucks that you see all the time on the highway, and buses, taxis, mailman, garbage trucks. You think, oh yeah, UPS, delivery trucks, and then also like pizza delivery or any type of food delivery. You think, wow, self-driving cars are going to be able to replace all of that driving human labor, and that's gonna take away jobs, and then there's going to be all these millions of people that did those jobs that are now, looking for some sort of unskilled labor to do to keep on making, paying their bills. Everyone has bills to pay, and I guess I should talk about that right now. Bills to pay.
Area looks
Because everyone sort of comes into this life with nothing, or maybe they got some stuff from their parents, or they didn't get a whole lot of stuff, and you need like $500 or something to open up a like a credit card or a bank account of a bank, and then you need most credit cards you can charge up to $5,000 on it, which is probably more money than you've ever had yet, unless if you're just like if you're any random person, and so yeah, get that credit card, and then you just buy little things with it. Definitely don't go crazy and buy something you can't afford. And then as long as you can make the monthly payments, which is probably like 10% of the total amount or something, where you can pay the entire thing off, as long as you keep on making the monthly payments, uh, that builds up your credit score, which makes you more eligible for larger and longer loans. And so once you have a credit score, you can then, the first thing you buy on a loan is your car. Society wants you to buy a car, and you can do like a 10% down payment or something, and then a 7-year loan. Where like I just got a sports car that was used for $2,000, like $20,000 total, 7-year loan. It amounts to about $10 a day, which you spend that much absent-mindedly on beer or fast food. So if you can save up the $2,000, you can afford a sports car and drive around thinking you're cool and get compliments from people going, "Oh, hey, nice car." And it's like, "Hey, you can drive this car too, my friend." You know. But pretty soon those cars will be driving themselves, and that's gonna change the automotive industry. It's like, why even own cars? The reason why it took me such a long time to buy a car was because I lived in a very urban area after I moved out of the suburbs for a little bit, living on my own instead of living with my parents. And living in an urban area, there's no parking, and then everything's within walking distance. So then, you just sort of ride a bicycle around, or just walk places. But then it's urban, so there's also a lot of homeless people everywhere. And then that's, everyone's always, those homeless people try and make eye contact with you and ask you for change, and you have to keep on walking by them every day, seeing them over and over again. And yeah, you have to be worried if they like follow you or attack you or anything. And so yeah, and then the same way you buying a house is just like buying a car. Yeah, do like a 10% down payment or whatever. You can save up, and then you do a 15 to 30-year loan. And once you get moved in, either that or that's when you start thinking about having kids, and you'll pay off your house as you're having kids and as they're growing older, and you can even still be paying off your house for 12 more years after your kids have already left and moved on, and maybe in fact you never even pay off that house. You just make payments until your kids leave, and then you sell and get what you already had paid off in the percentage, and by then the house's value has increased too. So maybe even after before you even pay it off, maybe you've even made money, and then you downsize and get something smaller because you don't need so many rooms in that house, and maybe you don't need to live next to a school district anymore. And and then that house, when you pass away, you leave the like house in your will to your children, and then they get a little bit of money someday from that, or it's not a little bit of money. It's like they'll take that money and probably use it to pay off their house or something. And that's how the banking and credits and loans and payment plans and how your life will go, basically. And you should also know about the constantly increasing minimum wage. Minimum wage is always going up, so jobs you can find will continue to pay more money than you were used to, And then with the inflation over like 30 years, all of the prices are going to, like every 30 years, all the prices are going to double. So anything you have that's property, its value is going to double. Uh, so yeah, so when all your money is going into, or most of it is going into a loan payment plan that you're financing, it's almost as if you're doubling how much money you're making, or maybe that's just some talk that's trying to swindle you into getting hugely into debt. That's debt-based, how a debt-based economy works, I think. Don't just take my word for it. So that's how the rest of life is going to go. But these robots, starting with the cars, and then Starlink, uh, Elon Musk with SpaceX and Starlink is going to put satellites all around the Earth so that there's free Wi-Fi for everyone on the planet someday. And then you'll be in your self-driving car driving around, and you'll have internet, so you can be on your computer doing social networking or playing your online video games as you try and get to your destination. But then it's like, where are you even going? Are you going to work or school or something? Because, everyone doesn't like distance learning because they're not me, and I feel like, yeah, why do we even have schools? Like it seems like the kids, they can just learn everything from a computer, and why even pay these teachers wages and have these $1 million buildings for kids to go to, and then force them, pressure them, peer pressure them into little friendships that don't mean anything and are just sort of distractions that help them make wrong decisions, and just waste their time, and have yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, robots, and it goes on. There's also Robo Chef, and if Robo Chef can make, they want to do a $50,000 remodel to your kitchen and put these robotic arms in that can make any food. But you think, hey, Robo Chef, all they need is a more industrial version of that, and you can just see Robo Chef being used in fast food places. And it's like, oh no, wait, the bridge just needs to turn on. Alright, well, Robo Chef, you can just see that thing replacing all fast food workers, and then you have it's like that's all we do is fast food workers, and then you start imagining the entire thing in a robotic, utilitarian, socialist, order, and where I don't think it'll turn out like that, but we also need to be open-minded to advancements in technology when they happen, and not just repress them because we're already conditioned to be scared of their connotations through like the media and paranoid sci-fi movies that were just made for action and entertainment, that just sort of slightly condition people to be afraid of robots and socialism and stuff.
Oh, humans, be careful.
And yeah, Robo Chef, yeah, that kind of technology should completely change the fast food market, which seems to be the only thing that kids are even capable of. And then you start thinking about, like ordering stuff online, like Amazon and Walmart already has a app that you can order things online with, but you still don't want a person coming up to the door. But then with like self-driving cars or quad rotor drones for quadcopter delivery, here's something I'm doing right now is I'm gonna go and grab that skull I was talking about, black eye or something, or iron, tough luck, I don't know. I don't think I end up using the thing, because I already have like Mythic and Fog turned on, and Famine. And those are typically the skulls I already use. Maybe it's Tilt or Catch, I don't know. I didn't look it up. I thought about looking it up, but a year ago when I did this, I had, just before starting, gone through the map and found as many skulls as I could, or the ones I knew I wanted, after looking up all the locations. And then I really did not have a good time looking for the skulls. And so then when I was going through getting my high scores, I remembered this one, and I was like, hey, that kind of looks like the part in the video. Here, I'll try and do this annoying thing and see if I can get the skull. And lo and behold, right here. Do you see which one it was? Oh, I missed it. So, anyways, robots, and yeah, then you also think about androids, and they've got, and Boston Dynamics does these robots where they've got the quote-unquote robot dog, Spot. It's just a quadruped, walking robot, and you see that, and you see the quad rotor drones, and you think you can just put guns on those things, and then they'll just be walking and flying guns. Or why not even make a transformer thing where it's a quadruped robot gun that can also fold in its legs, and then its propeller, its quad rotors can come out, and it'll fly around, just like these robot dogs in this game, except they don't fly. Yeah.
Watch for snipers in the back.
And, then Boston Dynamics also has a bipedal, the Atlas robot, but I think it's all just CGI right now, and it's just a concept, but they have videos on the internet. I think also the flying gun quadcopter is also sort of a fake demonstration where they just have, a fake gun shooting, and then there are explosives already in the target dummies to just make it look like it's targeting the thing correctly. But you can imagine all that stuff will be there someday, and that's like how much value are in soldiers' lives. But it's, we could talk about that some other time. And there's also even like the sex doll robot where they just have they're trying to make lifelike sex dolls that have a robot face on that talk, and the guy doing that android is called Harmony, and that's kind of an awkward thing to talk about. It's just like, whoa, don't mention that to me, okay? Like have a filter. And then there's also Robo C, and that robot you can talk to it and it'll answer questions, and it can read, I think, and you can show it contracts, and it'll be like a lawyer or an accountant, and it can process all that stuff instantly. Just it'll instantly decode writing in any language and can tell you what's important on the contract and what the contract actually says, and answer questions and record conversations and stuff. And you look at all of that stuff, and you imagine it all going inside a single unit where, then you have a military combat, android that looks human and attractive, and it's smart and can, speak any language and read instantly, and it can also make food, and then that's where the androids are going to be starting once all that stuff gets put together in one thing, and that'll be easily like $100,000, even more, and then you'll buy your android on a payment plan, and it'll be like having a super best friend or partner. I even thought, hey, why not dress it up like cosplay? Like make it your favorite fictional character or celebrity look-alike. And yeah, that'll be real cool. I'm really excited for that, and I hope I'm not just over imagining things. And then I wanted to talk about cloning. Oh God, what an awkward conversation to be having while playing Halo, as if I can even process any of this stuff that I'm talking about while trying to shoot these things on a high difficulty setting. Well, it beats just being frustrated. Yeah. So cloning, SCNT, somatic cell nuclear transfer, is the method of cloning that I was talking about. Most people, or myself, we just think that cloning is scanning DNA, get a DNA sample, and then you can digitalize the sequence of the ribonucleic acids, or the deoxyribonucleic acids, and then you'll get like a printer machine that will like sew the DNA strand, and then a 3D printer will clone a fully grown copy of the person, and they'll even think they'll have their memories and stuff, but no. We will have cloning before that point, I think, with the somatic cell nuclear transfer option, which is what Dolly the sheep was cloned with that method. And it's a pretty interesting thing, but it's also weird to be, going through all this modifying organism stuff. Yeah, because it's like looking at body parts, or like being in an animal butcher shop or something. Right. Well, so SCNT, somatic cell nuclear transfer, is where you take the nucleus out of a cell in the body, and your hair and bones don't have cellular nucleuses because they're carbon deposits. And same with your teeth. So you need to have either it needs to be from your organs or your skin, and your blood also does not have cellular nucleuses. So hair, blood, and bones all don't have the nuclear DNA. It's not called nuclear because it's radioactive. It's just because it's from the cellular nucleus, and even nuclear, as in radioactive nuclear, that nuclear is also from the atomic nucleus. So it's just talking about nucleuses, which is actually not a very scientific vocabulary of the thing we're talking about, where we're just calling everything nuclear and calling these things nucleuses and stuff. And so you take a nucleus out of a organic cell, and you put that into a fertilized egg, and you swap it out with the nucleus that's already in there. And female eggs, they have half the chromosome pairs, and then the sperm inoculates the egg, and the two chromosome pairs attach to each other, and you have 23 chromosome pairs, and then that egg starts dividing, and it turns into an embryo, and then a fetus, and for some reason, when they do this with humans, the womb doesn't accept the embryo of the clone, and but the Netherlands is pretty close to coming up with a artificial womb, and so they say they're 10 years away. So hopefully in 10 years, we'll be able to clone human beings through somatic cell nuclear transfer, and all we'll need is human eggs, and we might even be able to use 3D printers to even just synthesize an egg, and then put the person we're trying to clone, put a nucleus inside that egg, and then hopefully everything going well, it'll start dividing and turn into a fetus inside the artificial womb, and then there'll be birthing pods, and this will, if everything goes well, we'll be able to be like eugenics. We'll be able to clone the most beautiful and intelligent people, and with CRISPR and things, we're able to even get inside the DNA and cross DNA with other things, just like in the movie Spider-Man, where sections of DNA are being replaced. Like they've made spider goats that, instead of making milk, they make spider web out of their udders. And then they've also taken jellyfish DNA and have made glow-in-the-dark mice and cats and rabbits. And so that's all cool, and hopefully, we'll be able to make just like stronger and smarter individuals and animals and stuff. And that'll be really exciting. I'm really excited for that. I hope, if reincarnation is true, then I hope that the next time I'm born, I'll be this perfected, genetically enhanced person in a society with a functioning economy, and that I can have my android, you know, all that stuff, and also meet Maslow's hierarchy of needs and live a fulfilling, enhanced life. And there are other cool science that is being worked on and developed, mostly by Elon Musk, or he's spearheading everything and putting his name on every single scientific field. And like with Neuralink, they're going to be putting wires into things' brains to interface with technology for like robotic arms and stuff. So, that'll be cool, and hopefully this will lead to longer longevity and stuff. Yeah, and so this warden fight, it goes on forever. So I have everything sped up on times 2, and I'll probably lower the audio a bit because the audio is more annoying when it's sped up, and then I can just talk louder than that. So it seems like the next 20 years are going to be all about the development of these technologies, while the general population will mostly be in an economic recession where it'll be maybe going bankrupt and stuff, where it'll be hard to find work because so many of the business opportunities that we do are becoming obsolete. And then when we bought our houses and our cars on long year payment plans, we can't find work. We're going to be having to default on those loans and declare bankruptcy and things like that. And then there's also always the possibility of war with other countries, though that seems unlikely. Uh, yeah, and so I want to talk about different ideas of separatism, and then also the opposite of expanding the United States' borders and the different uh, international alliances and unions that are said to exist right now. Uh, because like a fourth of the world is the Commonwealth of Nations, where they all swear to defend the Queen of England. And like one of the Commonwealth nations is India, and yeah, India used to be part of the British Empire, and then all that stuff with Gandhi happened, and it became, its own nation as part of the Commonwealth of Nations, where most of the Commonwealth of Nations are white people. And South Africa is also part of the Commonwealth of Nations, but they're also part of that, and India are also part of a trade alliance or something known as the BRICS, the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Yeah. Though they don't seem to have any strong military alliances. And then you have the European Union, which is all of Europe working together, where 3 of the major European Union nations are Spain, France, and Germany, and they all use the euro. Have one currency between those 3 nations, or like 19 of the nations use the euro or something. I don't remember. So then you have us, the U.S., and with all the protests and the Black Lives Matter people, I've been talking about, what would it be like if the United States, if the West succeeded from the United States and made up a whole bunch of little different nations. Uh, or like it has to do with the Cascadia movement, which I don't think anyone is actually interested in the Cascadia movement, but that would be if Oregon and Washington and part of Canada, British Columbia all formed a nation together called Cascadia, identifying with a shared bioregion. It's like you're not even sure if you know what these guys are talking about, and then Cascadia is not that cool. And then Idaho, as a state, wants to expand its borders for the Greater Idaho movement, and they want to take away most of Oregon, seeing as it's mostly the rural community, and if they can just vote on a border change so that the rural community of Oregon can join Idaho, and Idaho wants the top of North California so that it can have a trade port. Yeah. And that at first it sounds greedy, but then it's just like, well, I guess it's cool that they want to be something greater and not just sit around doing nothing, because that's what a lot of the West does, is they just sort of sit around not doing anything. And then there are the Neo-Confederates and the KKK, where ever since the American Civil War, there have been splinter groups that are basically mainstream and have infiltrated a lot of the government, and you almost wish that they could just go back to being the South or whatever, or a few of the states could, and all the Confederate people could just go there, and vice versa with all the black people, if they could like go to West Montana and form, like not all of them, but like half of them, if half of the black people went to West Montana and formed their own nation, like Black Cadia or something, then they would have something to call their own, instead of like what happened in the Civil War, where they were sending a lot of freed blacks over back to Africa to form the nation or colony, African colony, the American African colony in Africa, Liberia, where that just faced a major civil war, and you would hope if we formed any new nations out of the West, then they would all be doing better than the nations of Africa, like Liberia. And like Texas could be its own nation, and California, because honestly, I hate how everything comes out of California because of Hollywood. All the actors are in California, and it's like its own thing, and then they just install bad values and prejudices all over the United States and all over the world. And it's like we should just, California should just be its own nation, and then we can see all of our movies as just foreign films. They're just foreign films from California. That's what they are. And then, New Mexico might as well make a Latino nation. Send half of the Hispanic people to New Mexico and have them make a American Hispanic nation that we can be allies with. And then you get into like, oh yeah, Utah. Utah can be a Mormon nation, or even two Mormon nations of, the LDSR and the FLDSR, which will become the North and South Kingdoms of Mormania or something. But at least then all the Mormons could live there and not walk among us. And then everything left over, like maybe even East Montana, you can make that neo-Nazia, and all the neo-Nazis can go there. That's probably too extreme for most people. And then everything left over, or like LGBT people, they should get a part of Arizona, and then they can be the LGBTQR. And, then everything left over, like Colorado, that can be divided between the Freemasons and the Democrats. It can be Democrado and Templorado. Or, like, Republicans will probably want their own nation too, just like Democrado. It'll be called Republica. And the Nevada, Nevada, that can be divided into, American Israel and Catholic, Catholics can get the same kind of treatment, and Protestantio, and then just Christian land, and then Vegas can be its own nation too. It'll be the nation of Vegas, and you can do that with Nevada. If you just opened up those things to new nations, you could get people from around the world identifying with those classes or groups of people as their people, and then they can bring in their money and terraform the land and form a whole bunch of micronations that can have representation at the UN and at the Olympics, and people can identify as their own people. And what other groups of people? Well, you sort of get the idea. Yeah. Oh, and then like I also had an idea of academia, where you can send all the smart people to academia, and same with transhumania, where you can do all that cloning and cybernetics there at transhumania. Then it's like, why does or if you gave the 13 colonies back to the Windsors or whatever, or they formed their own new British government and swore an oath to King George the Third, like, I don't know. Obviously, not all of those ideas are good. That was just a conversation. Now, and I'm glad I did talk about all that stuff because it really helped. I was barely even watching my gameplay this time, and it was a lot less boring talking about something I actually enjoy, just like these ideas, rather than just sort of trying to follow this depressing gameplay of dying over and over again. Yeah, I still like Halo, though, I guess. Oh, and another thing was when I was playing this mission, I had a pretty shitty controller, and it would just fire sometimes, and that's why later, near the end of the video, I keep on switching weapons when I'm holding the incineration cannon because I'm trying to stop myself from firing the thing because the trigger on the controller's twitching out. Now, there sure were a lot of weapons lying around on this part, and you have to, when you're just like stuck at a part of the level, you sort of find them all. It's like, I don't think I'll be coming back here and doing this again and being real good at it. Oh, here's something else I wanted to talk about was the moon mining, helium-3 moon mining. I didn't even know what an isotope was before I found out about this, and it doesn't even seem real to me that they want to mine the moon or process moon soil to extract helium-3, which they're saying is from solar wind, and none of it makes any sense to me, not because I'm stupid, but because it just doesn't make any sense. And I complained about it for months, but I'm also super excited for it if it is a real thing. and you can see people's designs of fission reactors and stuff, where there's some kind of nuclear reaction between deuterium and helium-3, which is a helium isotope that has one extra neutron, so it has slightly more atomic weight, and yeah, the deuterium is a hydrogen isotope where it also has one extra neutron, and so deuterium you won't find on the periodic table because it's a hydrogen isotope. And the same similar reaction can happen between hydrogen 2 and hydrogen 3, but apparently the nuclear reaction between hydrogen 2 and helium 3 is non-radioactive. So they're hoping that this will be the energy source of the future. And hearing about this is just like, oh, great, so that sounds way better than sustainability, electricity like windmills and dams and solar power, and people are like, oh, what's wrong with those? And it's actually like each one of those is just destructive to the environment and ugly and stuff, where hydrogen fusion might even be better on the environment than having a bunch of dams and windmill farms and solar energy, because solar energy is solar and wind are gonna take up so much space, and then dams are gonna change the the flow of the river, and then also kill like millions of fish. So that doesn't sound very environmental.
Follow me.
Yeah, well, it's all some stuff you can look into. Moon mining, planetoid mines. And that's what I've mostly been thinking about in this last year, all that stuff.
Yes, it is all quite impressive. But did you not wish to speak with the other humans?
$3 million.